fad and craze. The terms fashion and clothing tend to be used synonymously. The term fashion in English or la mode in French stands out from the other words such as cloth, garment, attire, garb, apparel, and costume, which are often referred to in relation to fashion. We can consider that each one of it has the same term but not really identical, and bring out the difference meaning. In this video, we would like to emphasize on the differences of traditional and modern fashion among Malay teenagers.
Generally, a tradition is the belief or action which has a symbolic significance or special meaning within a community or culture with a historical context. In political and philosophical expression, the idea of tradition as the concept of hanging onto a past period is also found.
What's up, gang? It's Wong. What's going on with fashion today? Modernism is both a philosophical movement and an art movement that originated during the late 19th and early 20th century from large changes of Western culture. The revolution embodied a drive to develop new modes of art, ideology, and social organization, including features such as urbanization, new technology, and war that reflected that newly evolving industrial environment. Many of them represent attempts to obtain access to a supra-personal experience of reality, in which people assumed that they could transcend their own mortality, that they had inevitably ceased to be victim of history to become its maker instead.
The Malay's fashion was before the influence of Islam impacted by Hindu-Buddha faith. There are plain and simple dress. In the 7th century, there was a Muslim influence the ways Arabs carried the Malaysian dress Hindu-Buddhist. Hindu-Buddhist present is also in the application that spread across Malay nationwidely.
So next we're going to talk about the fashion and the modernism. Art and fashion have long gone hand in hand, but it was during the modernist period that fashion first acquired the same importance as painting, animation, photography, dance, and literature, and took on the same aesthetic value. Paul Poret was a constant figure in the modernist art movement. By loving the work of impressionists and flouristes, thinking that painters and artists were in the same trade, he entered the fashion and art together and could be honored together. Modernism has been expressed in fashion, combining new fabrics and concepts with Oriental and Greek traditions in architecture.
The main purpose of traditional clothing is because it has specific and element interweaved many designers with aligned with a modern view of life. Traditional clothes are a national culture. Some nations have formal clothes or face, and some places have outfit or fashion that people use to celebrate. We see a whole lot of stuff which people call fashion. It is our responsibility to conserve and care for folk costume because it is an identity for our country. In the present days, the traditional costume becomes more relevant. It is no longer just identity, but it's also something important to make us unity.
For example, such clothing rehearsal trends can be seen in teen behaviors in urban areas, such as when they are sightseeing, shopping, entertainment, and so on. T-shirts or shorts and jeans are the most common choice of young people in Malay. In terms of style, color, form of cut, even brand, fashion has many variations.
Baju Melayu, a Malay men's attire. There are two types of them, a baju peluk belanga and baju cekak musang. It is very suited to be used during a festive and formal celebration. In particular, The colours of the baju Melayu costume are important when engaging in formal royalties. It is also come with songkok, a typical Malaysian man's traditional hat. It is a truncated coat that typically consists of black or embroidered felt, cotton or velvet. Oh, do you know that something interesting fact that I found when I'm doing this research? It is about the button at the baju Melayu. There are 5 buttons in baju Melayu, right? It's symbolized that our rukun Islam. As we know, in Islam, there's our rukun Islam and it consists 5. There are 5 versions of baju kurung that are the most popular. All 5 of these variations were developed in the Malay Peninsula and were gazetted as Malaysia's Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2015. There are baju kurung Teluk Belanga, baju kurung Cakap Musang, baju kurung Kedah, baju kurung Pahang and baju kurung Perak. In addition, there are 4 main components for this costume. There are baju. It is masked in long sleeve and the length extends to between hips and knees. Next, sarung. For certain unique design, it is made by songkit or batik pattern. Third, kain dagang. It is also known as samping. Last but not least, scarf. Don't forget.
Now we're going to talk about some example that we have in fashion for modern fashion among Malay teenagers. Example, bag hat. This has been famous after one of the K-pop group, which we consider biggest K-pop group BTS, and one of his member Jungkook used it for the fans meet, and suddenly after few days it becomes sold out for around the world because of the trend of one of the member wear it. We can also refer to the women that wear hijab and have earrings outside of their hijab, and that is also a trend that being brings for after a video of fashion from the TikTok, which is more style, easy to style, trendy and more fashionable, more comfortable, symbolizing modern teenager, and it commonly used by the artists.
Why people prefer ethnic wear on special event? Traditional dress is not just a demonstration that you respect your cultural values, but the truth is that wearing the formal attire on holiday days represent traditional belief and not just reverence and love. Moreover, multicultural clothes make you look attractive, trendy, magnific and a fashionista.
Why teenagers love to wear modern clothes? Well-known branded for footwear is perceived to be more convenient to wear. It also has better quality than unbranded clothes, in addition to attracting public attention and proving that there are teenagers who have classes wear branded jeans and t-shirts like Timberland, Supreme, Nike, Adidas. It's showing high fashion preference. Teenagers indicate that with their type of clothing, they were more influenced by the type, shape and style of clothing. In reality, some of them continue to model clothing fashion to demonstrate that they don't care about the views of people. Others are assumed to be inclined to create some lean style. This is also what Western philosophers always bring out and have it that we have to point out ourselves first before others.
In the past few decades, the Malay society led them to a dilemma to choose between preserving the traditional values or adapting to new values, which were usually perceived as a part of modernism and development, especially in the fashion sense. The great difference of fashions between generations can be observed through the 2 main generations that live nowadays, which is Generation Y and Generation Z.
Millennial, also referred to as Generation Y, used the first 1980 as starting birth years and therefore the mid-1990s to the early 2000s as ending birth years. Meanwhile, Generation Z, colloquially referred to as Zoomer, is known as a demographic cohort succeeding Millennials and preceding Generation Alpha. Researchers and popular media use the mid to late 1990s as starting birth years to early 2010 as ending birth years. We can see the fashion trend between these two generations can be easily distinguished just by the look, and you will instantly know which generation group these people belongs to. Based on the topic, we conduct a research to survey the opinion of fashions between the two generations of Malay people. To obtain more accurate result, we limit our respondents to Generation Y and Generation Z of Malay races in Taman Gunung Bongsu only. Fashion goes beyond just clothes. It can extend to other things such as shoes, jewelry, and even how you style your hair. For some people, fashion is a high priority just because it describes who they are to the public eyes. So, in the questionnaire, we ask them what is the type of fashions that they like based on their preference. Most of them answer a simple style with some accessories and very minimal palette of colors, ranging from neutral to black. People are influenced by paying attention to what people wear in popular films, television shows, online video, books, and music videos that attract the attentions to copy the fashions. We are also influenced by the fashion industry advertising. This is also the same case as our respondents, since most of them say that their fashion sense were influenced by the internet and the social media. This has been happening for centuries, ever since the clothes were invented, and they have been used as a form of expressions. According to the research, when we asked them if they use the online shopping site to buy their clothes, 100% of Generation Z and 75% of Generation Y use an online shopping platform to buy their clothes and other related fashion things from the site like ZAINAL and Shopee. This kind of phenomena have created the mixed culture fashions in terms of modern clothes, and it usually being accepted by the young generation like Generation Z, because they like to try the new things as they are still in their teenage year. However, it is different to Generation Y, as they already in their youth where they did not easily affected by the outside influence, especially the internet. And as we know that they have been raised by the Generation X. For your information, the Generation X in Malaysia are highly patriotic. That is why some of them prefer traditional style clothes compared to the modern style clothes. Hence, I would say that the aesthetic fashions is clothing that is unique with bold clothes that is typically would have been trendy years ago. This means that over time, aesthetic fashion has become more and more desirable. Then, we ask them whether they know what is the latest fashion trend. Most of them answer either cottagecore or e-boys fashion. Cottagecore. These cottagecore styles include loose braid, hair ribbon, and picnic in the wildflower fields. Meanwhile, the e-girls or e-boys exist only on your screen. You may encounter them in real life. However, their main place where they express themselves is online, so it is usually confined in their bedroom. They spend a lot of time creating TikToks that are the most popular apps amongst Generation Z right now.
In conclusion, as we all aware, Malay fashion and clothes have evolved so much over the years with lots of new trends on the rise. The sense of fashion and the definition of fashion itself vary greatly between generations, as we have our own views and perception about fashion. Over time, the new replaced the old. What will happen to our fashion in 20 years? Definitely, fashion has always been known to push the envelope. With new trends and ideas, fashion has an eye towards the future. The fashion industry will see huge amounts of innovation in coming years as new technology and changing customers' trends and demands are transforming.
The end. Thanks for watching. Do you guys want to see the epic outro? Same as intro earlier? Wake up. The presentation is over. Now, roll the outro from this handsome editor.